If you're someone that is struggling with trading, I wanted to make this video just for you and talk about things to do to improve your trading. I'm someone that's been trading for 12 years, and honestly, it's been a wild 12 years. I went through every high and low that one could imagine, especially as a trader. And there's certain things you can do to shortcut your journey. There's certain things you can do to get out of this, down period you're in, or things to do just to get better. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of those things. I don't know how many of them it's going to be, probably like 5, 6, 7 things that I think are very important. Number one, the thing that is the most important thing, and I see every beginner trader or every struggling trader have a hard time with, is traders don't have the basic foundation done right. They do not understand what moves the market. So you as a trader, you need to understand everything outside of just support, resistance, and all of this stuff. And you need to start to get a good foundation of why is the market going higher? Why is the market going down lower? What's causing this key level that you have, let's say a support or resistance level? What is causing this stock to break out of it? What is causing a stock to kind of, use that level as a key supply zone? Once you start to challenge everything from a point of context, what is the context here? What is the story here? Keep in mind, trading is not just something that's based on simple lines. There's more behind it. There's that context that we as individuals must understand about trading. Now, for example, I see traders looking at patterns and they're like, oh man, I traded this pattern. And my only problem with that is, like, patterns are okay as long as you understand the story behind that pattern. If you see a double bottom, the question is, well, what happened on the second bottom? Did we start getting more buyers stepping in? Did we start getting more sellers stepping in? Who was more aggressive? Like, what was the story behind it? And some of the things you guys can start focusing on, in my opinion, in that department, is you can start understanding, what the hell is that? You can start to understand, order flow, sentiment, market events, like what drives the market up and down. What are the key economic indicators or events that do have power to move the markets? And I'll speak to some traders sometimes and they absolutely have no idea, like, oh man, we're having FOMC. Oh wow, we have CPI data coming out. They have no idea how that even impacts the market, or even if it impacts the market. So I think getting that foundation right at first is very important. And once you get that foundation right and you start to learn the right way of trading, right? It's context over patterns. Like, understand the context of what is happening in the market, and just always, every single time you see any move happen, you see any trade that you're taking, just ask yourself why. Why is this going up? Why is this going down? What's the key reasons? Or is there any reason? Is there something I can read from this? Is there something I can learn from this? And once you start to do that, it just kind of opens your eyes to the market from a much better perspective, in my opinion. The other thing is, I think as traders, you need to learn to control things that you can control only. A lot of traders, beginner traders, especially myself, I used to, and by the way, guys, everything I'm saying are things that I used to do. I used to do all of these things a million times over, right? I used to try to control everything as a trader. Like, oh my God, I took this trade. It has to go in my favor. I have to be right. And then you start chasing being right over anything else. And when I shifted my perspective of, like, looking at the markets from a point of view of, like, well, what are the things I can control? Which is, number one, I can control how much I invest into a trade. I can control what my stop is. I can control what trades I'm going to take, what my trade selection is going to be. I can kind of control those things. What I can't control is I can't control the outcome of any particular trade. Knowing that I can't control the outcome allows me to now let go of the outcome. Like, I don't care. Like, if I take a trade tomorrow, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I care for the following. One, did I follow my game plan? Two, did I appropriately risk myself in this trade? Even if I made money, right? Because there's trades like you'll make money and you're like, oh my God, I did so well. But then the question goes, well, did you follow your plan? Did you actually size accordingly? Did you, have good execution on this? Was this part of your playbook? Was this a trade that you should have taken, right? And then when you start looking at your trades from that perspective, you start getting better outcomes, and those outcomes are driven by real processes, and they're not driven by just money. Like, oh, I'm gonna take this trade, and hopefully I make 10,000, hopefully I make 20,000, and that's something that it took me many years to let go of. I would get into a trade, and I'm like, all right, well, on this trade, if I buy it at $8 and I sell it at 12, I'll walk away making $3,000 on this trade. Now it's like, well, if I buy this trade at 8 and I risk, $1,000, am I comfortable in losing 1,000? Does me risking 1,000 make sense? Is that something I can essentially afford accordingly to my account size? And what are the things I can control in this particular trade? And what are the things I can't control? After that, I just execute and I keep that going. That also kind of eliminates hesitation, because if you have hesitation, you start to think about it. Why do you have a hesitation? You have hesitation because you're probably oversized and you're scared of the outcome. You're way too attached to the outcome of being right. You're way too attached on making money and not just kind of following the process. And then you start to overthink so many different things. But when you have this healthy process of, this is what I'm going to risk, this is the trade I'm going to take, it fits within my criteria, it fits within my game plan, and you start to follow that from a healthy point of view, things just start to become a lot more easier, right? The next thing is tracking every trade, with intent, right? I see traders that don't track their data properly. They don't have a proper system, a proper approach of knowing how and when to track the markets. And I think not having a healthy system of tracking ultimately just makes things so much more difficult for you, right? So if you do start tracking, these are things I think every trader should track, right? And if I could go back, this is something I wish I did sooner than later. Every day before you start your trading day, write down a pre-market game plan. What am I watching? Why am I watching this? What are the different scenarios that I'm looking for, right? What happened last week or what happened yesterday? Context of yesterday matters a lot, especially going into a new trading day. Then after you kind of establish that, then also just do like a check within yourself, like, oh wow, I'm feeling FOMO. Wow, I missed a good trade yesterday, and because I missed a good trade yesterday, I feel like I'm going to start chasing more and more trades. And once you kind of put that down in writing, go into the day, take your trades, and once you take those trades, go back and say, well, did these trades align with my game plan? Did they align with the setups or playbooks I had? Did any of these actually make sense, or was I just recklessly trading? And most of the time, you'll realize that you were recklessly trading. And then when you start doing that, like for me, I have a process of the pre-market game plan. I take notes when I'm taking, live trades. And then after I'm done trading, I go through all of these trades individually, and I spend time here. And guys, once again, I've been trading for 12 years. I'm still doing that. If you ask me, hey, on May 8th, what did you trade? What was your game plan? I can show it to you. Now, if I go to traders that have been trading for a year or 2 years and ask them the same question, majority of traders cannot answer that question for me. They have no idea. And that to me is very frustrating, because it's like, well, are you actually taking this thing serious, or are you just, waking up and pressing some buttons and hoping to make money? And, to me, like, I get so frustrated when I see people do that. They open up their laptops and they think, hey, I can open it up, take some trades and do absolutely nothing, and I deserve to make money. And to me, as a trader that's been in this space for 12 years and, hoping to stay a lot longer, I'm like, that's not how things are gonna work. That's not how you're gonna be profitable. That's not how things are gonna, work in your favor. And you as a trader need to kind of let go of that and let go of, I'm just gonna be random here, right? There is a whole approach of treating this thing as a business, and you approach it as a business, and you start tackling it in terms of a right process, a right framework, tracking your trades, tracking your data, having proper playbooks, having proper approaches to the market conditions, and using that to improve, right? Because you're not just tracking your data and tracking your stuff to, track for the sake of tracking. You're doing it to start to improve. And if you start to use that data appropriately, you then have real stuff that you can use, tweak, and get better at. Now, if you don't have good data, right, and you just take trades randomly, you will start to hit that wall of just, having nothing to work with. So that's why I say the data you track, very important. You writing out good game plans, also very important. You then using those game plans to, start optimizing your edge, start optimizing your mistakes, also very important. And like for me, for example, like I'll share something with you guys. The first few years, right? After I started like really going into my trading and looking at my processes, I started realizing there's so many days and so many trades where I would have a different game plan versus what I actually traded. And it makes no sense. Like when you really think about it, it makes absolutely no sense at all. You're like, well, why would you do that? And I realized a lot of it would just be, I would see something moving and I would chase like this big trade for absolutely no reason. And that concept was, I was just trying to make money. And because I was just trying to make money over and over again, I would start to have like really bad trades. So the point I'm trying to make here is track your data, track with intent, use that data and just use it to improve, right? And that concept comes down to like treating this game as a business, right? Treating it as a real business, a real way of improving, and a real way to just kind of use the data for your advantage. And guys, there's another thing. Been doing this for 12 years. I still struggle. I still have bad points. I still have points where I use data, and that data becomes very valuable to me to learn from and to use to my advantage, right? So this is coming once again from someone doing this for 12 years and telling you you're gonna go in this cycle over and over again. Let me just make a U-turn because the lighting is probably not the best right here. I think the lighting is a little bit better. Yeah, going in this car is not fun sometimes. No power steering either, so and no backup camera, so fuck, not the funnest. The next thing is picking a setup or a few setups and like really mastering them, right? And this comes in the combination of a lot of different stuff. Every setup you guys have, you should understand what market conditions will this setup work in? What market conditions do I need for this setup? What are my entry criteria for this particular setup? What are my exit criteria for this setup? And once you're able to put those things together, you start to have a higher conviction of that setup. And doing that, by the way, takes time. It takes time and it takes a lot of screen time, right? You need to put in a lot of screen time here. And the thing that I think people kind of misinterpret here is that they think that if they read a book or watch a video, they should be able to execute that setup right away. Guys, that's not how you're gonna get better. The way you're gonna get better is taking that setup, writing down what your entry and exit criteria is, taking that entry and exit criteria, back testing it a little bit, and seeing like, okay, what market conditions does this work on? Like I, for example, have a morning top setup, or I have an opening range setup where I made countless videos in the past. You guys can just go down my channel and see, and you'll see in those setups, the process is very similar. The approach is very similar. What I'm looking for is very similar. So now if you take that setup, will you go and make money right away? Absolutely not. Because you need to have that comfortability of being able to execute what I'm sharing with you. You need to have muscle memory on it. You need to have like a lot of screen time. Like I mean hours and hours and hours of screen time, watching the market, evaluating how you respond to the markets, evaluating how you respond to the setup, how you adjust in real time if that setup or that trade goes against you, right? So to wrap that part up, have a setup or one or two setups, understand the market conditions you want to use in that setup. Once you understand the market conditions that setup makes sense in, go into your entry, exit criteria, and then go and ruthlessly trade that in real markets with very minimal size. Use very small size, but trade it. Trade the setup, practice the setup, get comfortable with it. Know what market conditions, once again, it's gonna work in and whatnot. And if you go down my channel, as mentioned, you guys will see what I'm talking about in my approach and in my setup in that. And even in that, by the way, just because I have it doesn't mean that I take that trade and it's gonna work every time. I have days where my setup works perfectly fine in terms of how my entry criteria and everything's listed, but the trade doesn't work out in my favor, right? And that's the next part that I want to talk about, is being okay in being wrong, okay? Like you have to, to be a good trader, you have to be a professional loser. Like I know it sounds crazy and it's like, what do you mean a professional loser? Guys, you just have to be okay in being wrong. You have to be able to take a trade, fail, be wrong, doesn't work out, reiterate and say, okay, cool, I was wrong in that. How do I take a step back and how do I rotate and get better again? How do I do it again? How do I do it again? How do I do it again? Right? And the more comfortable and the more easy you can be wrong, the more easier it is for you to execute, the easier it is for you to take good trades, the easier it is to keep moving forward. But if you're wrong and you get attached to, oh my God, I was wrong. Why was I wrong? I don't want to be wrong. I have to make money on this. It just kind of, it just makes the execution process very difficult. Now, keep in mind what I said before. If you are wrong and you do manage your risk and you do control the things you can control, being wrong isn't going to kill you. It's not going to destroy your account. But where it is going to destroy your account is when you start, when you stop doing the things you should be doing in terms of proper risk management, right? Because the only thing or the biggest thing we can control in trading is risk, right? So if you can control your risk and you can make sure your risk is controlled really, really well, then you're going to be just fine. But if you don't control your risk and your risk is all over the place, especially as you're a developing trader, you're going to have an extremely difficult time on making any significant amount of money, or forget making any significant amount of money. You're going to have a very hard time just staying alive, right? And that's, staying alive in terms of my next point that I want to do. Your two jobs as a trader, especially in the developing phase, right, are how do I stay alive? And second, in order for me to stay alive, I have to make sure my risk is controlled and my risk is something I can afford and something that's not going to blow me up. If you can stay alive without blowing your account, without being in massive drawdown for give or take 2 years, your trading career it just will get so much easier and you'll get to a point of making money. But you need that 1 to 2 years of time period where you can practice, take trades in real market conditions, put on real risk, mess up, go through drawdown, go through all these bad periods, because you need to go through them. Like for me to say, I wish no one here goes through a bad drawdown period or a losing streak, I would be lying. I hope everyone here, I hope the person watching, you go through a drawdown period, but I also hope you're able to recover from that, because it's impossible for you to not go through a drawdown period. You know what I mean? You're gonna go through it. So the point is not if you're gonna go through it or not and how do you avoid a drawdown period. The bigger question is, when you go through it, how do you get out of it? When you're in a losing streak, how do you get out of it? And all the points I'm listing are the points that are gonna help you get out of that. Risk management, treating trading like a business, tracking your data, understanding your data, understanding where you mess up, understanding how your position size plays a role, understanding when to increase, decrease position size, understanding market context, right? Because think about it, how many times have you went through a period where your trading goes really good and then you just blow everything up? And then you think about it and you're like, why did I blow it up? I just suck at trading. No, it's not that you suck at trading. A lot of times the reason you blow it up after a good winning streak is because you don't know how to adapt to market conditions. And that goes again to my point number one, that if you understand market context and you understand what moves the market and what is important to the market, you have the highest probability of avoiding these mistakes, right? So for me, once again, I go through all of these problems I'm sharing with you guys. I still go through some of them, right? And I go through it on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, but all the things I'm sharing with you help me avoid that, help me avoid making those problems, or forget avoiding these problems, it helps me overcome them when I hit that wall of these problems, right? The next thing I want to talk about is treating trading as a long game. And I think for me personally, this was the biggest thing that helped me become a better trader over anything else. And the thing here is, I see a lot of traders, they trade like they have a month left to trade. Like, it's like, oh my God, it's my last month, I have to trade, I have to make money this month. If I don't make money this month, I'm done. Let's rewire that and let's reapproach trading, and let's reapproach it from a perspective of, I am gonna trade and I'm gonna be in the space for the next 10 years. And guys, once again, I've been doing this for 12 years, right? I did not get consistency mentally. When I talk about consistency for me, I didn't get to a point of comfortability and consistency of like, oh, like I can do it again next year. I can have another green year. Oh, wow, I can make this a career, until like year 5, maybe 6, at least, right? So a lot of things changed for me when I started looking at things from a wider point of view, and I started saying, okay, well, I don't care to, make money this week. I don't care to make money this month. I don't care to make money one day or lose money one day or week, 1 month, whatever. I care about the longevity of this game, And if I care about the longevity of this game, I need to understand one thing that's very important here. And that one thing that's very important here for me is, how do I stay alive for the next 10 years? How do I trade like I want to be here for 10 years? How do I make sure that the trades I take align with that? So if I miss the big trading day, it's okay. There's many more trading days I'll get. If I messed up on a trading day, it's okay, because that one trading day is not going to kill me because I didn't oversize. I didn't expose myself to risk that I shouldn't expose myself to. I kind of kept everything really comfortable for my account size and, you know, my trading game plan and all the other good stuff. So look at trading from a long-term point of view. Trading is a marathon, not a sprint. And I've said these things so many times, and people don't get it. People just look at, how do I make money? I want to make money the fastest way. If I can't make money this week, this is not for me. And you know, if that's something you're trying to do and you're trying to make quick, fast money, just take this from me right now. Just leave trading. Just don't do it. Let go. Go and do some other career that where hopefully or maybe you'll make quick, fast cash. But in trading, I don't think that's going to happen, right? And in trading, you just kind of have to look at this from a long-term point of view. And then it goes on to my next point, which is, guys, aim to be a good trader. Stop aiming to make money. Trading is a game where if you trade well and you do all the right things that I'm talking about, you will ultimately become profitable. But if you say, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to trade, and the reason I'm going to trade is because tomorrow I want to make $1,000 or I want to make $2,000, or this month I want to make 10 grand. You know, those are great like North Star metrics of things that you want to achieve. But especially in the short run, they're like the worst things you can do for yourself. Because the moment you set up these metrics and you set up these things that you want to chase, you ultimately just kind of fuck yourself over, if that makes sense. But if you start readjusting that approach and you start saying, well, in the next 60 days, I want to become better at managing risk. In the next 60 days, I want to, you know, become better at identifying this key setup that I'm trading. In the next 60 days, I want to improve my win to loss ratio. In the next 60 days, I want to improve my win percentage. Whatever these metrics are that you focus on, they will drive more for you than in the next 60 days, I want to make 10 grand, right? And that goes into goal setting. If you're able to set goals the right way, if you're able to kind of look at things from a better perspective, and if you are, things just become a lot easier, you know? So I just wanted to, like, once again, talk about these things that I think are very important. Hope you guys found value in them. If you're still struggling or in a point of struggling, you know, let me know down below what videos you guys want me to make, what you guys want me to talk. Once again, 12-year journey of mine. It's been really hard. It's been very difficult. But also at the end of it, it's also been very, very rewarding. And I hope everyone watching this gets to a point of that reward period and gets to a point of understanding the amount of effort and discipline and time it takes to actually achieve profitability in trading. And you don't follow the nonsense bullshit you guys see online of what everyone else is trying to show you how easy trading is and how you can learn X, Y, and Z, and you start to understand the real work that you have to put into this game. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and let me just end it.